Hey man, you trying to open people up but you mix boo-boo? I'm gonna help you get that together with the offensive guide. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and get your respect back. We're gonna get right into the mix, but first we're gonna see if you have true strings. A true string is when you do a certain pattern of moves, and it cannot be interrupted by your opponent. To see if it's real, set your opponent to reflect. Go to the training menu, click enemy settings, and set your counterattack settings to reflect. Next we have the soft stagger. This is when you're delaying each normal in hopes to be catching your opponent pressing a button. The pro to this is you will catch a masher, but the con to this is it can be reflected. To make sure you're staggering correctly, open the training menu again, go to enemy settings, put on guard all, and put your counterattack settings on light. And then you have the hard stagger. This is a good method to catch people who like to reflect. Using this method can score you big damage, but use wisely because you are potentially giving up your turn. Then we have the fake solo mix. After doing your true string, input a special at the end to catch your opponent off guard. For an example, these are TN's options. Stopping at the key blast will condition your opponent to think you'll stop there all the time, giving you a chance to hit this. Some people also like the super dash, the key blast. You can 2H that in your string too. Then we have the tick throw, introduced in season 3. You're able to cancel your light into grab for mix. See, grabbing is important because... What, hello? You don't like grabbing. That's why you can't take now. You forget the button exists. Then we have aerial mix and cross-ups. You're using your insta air dash and block strings or neutral to open your opponent up. If you're a distance away from the opponent, you'll hit in front, and if you're close, you'll hit behind them. If your character didn't turn around on cross-up, make sure he turned around before you press it. You can also I-80 super dash to fake cross-up. Now moving into true strings with assists. Essentially, this is how your pressure is really going to be. You're going to start off with a true string with your character, call your assist on time, and figure out what kind of mix you can get with your team. Remember, to check if it's real, set your opponent to reflect. If your opponent reflects after you're done, it's real. And if you want to double check, do it to yourself. Record the training dummy doing your setup, just to make sure. Then we have the fake mix. This area is usually more fun because it allows you to be much more creative. Once you reach a certain level of respect from your opponent, or get the read on them, you will be able to open them up with much more trickier options. You would use this after your opponent is conditioned. Now we have challenging. This is an offensive approach on defense. For example, if you see one of your opponents using the stagger method we were talking about, you can challenge the opponent and get your turn back. If you see your opponent using a fake string, you have options to get out of that. This section is really dependent on your character knowledge. So when your friend go and do a mix on you and you take it back to the lab, you'll be like, oh, so that's what he was doing. And then when round 2 happens, you'll be like,
wait a minute, I've seen this before. That's the old double jab crossover. Well, not today. Putting my training to use. Come here.
And last we got respect. Not everybody you fight is the same. So don't expect your regular routine to be working all the time. You gotta understand and use the respect level. If they like a 6 through 10, you could bust out the fake stuff. And if they a 0 through 4, you better keep it all basic, man. Nothing but true strings and punishing. You'll learn how to read your opponent and figure out where they at. Turn their brain into scrambled eggs. I want to say thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hit 'em with mixture. Hit 'em with mixture. Hit 'em with mixture. Whoa, yeah.